Step into the Galleria dell'Accademia, and the first thing that hits you is the sheer scale. At over 17 feet tall, he demands total silence from the millions of people who travel to Florence every year just to stand in this room. Most of those visitors look up and assume they are staring at absolute, mathematically flawless physical beauty. They treat it as the ultimate Renaissance celebration of human proportions. But if you look closely, the proportions are actually skewed. Understanding the reasoning behind these intentional physical errors provides the map to what this marble is trying to communicate. Reading the statue requires examining three specific quirks: a level of clinical medical realism, a set of calculated optical illusions, and a disguised political threat. The sculpture functions as a weaponized message hidden behind the aesthetic of perfection. This project began with a disaster. Two highly respected sculptors took turns hacking away at a thin, deeply flawed block of Carrara marble. Both gave up, declaring the stone ruined and unworkable. It sat abandoned in a cathedral workshop for 25 years. Then a 26-year-old Michelangelo claimed it. He built wooden fences around his workspace so no one could watch him, and he chipped away in total secrecy, often working soaked to the bone in the rain for 2.5 years. Every other artist at the time showed the hero after the fight, usually standing with a severed head at his feet. Here, the fight hasn't happened yet. He is tense, coiled, and calculating his odds against a giant. The slingshot is tucked away, barely visible over his left shoulder. Earlier artists depicted David with a sword or standing over a severed head, but Michelangelo removes the gore entirely. By emphasizing the slingshot as his only tool, the focus shifts to the intellectual resolve required to win. Now, look at his right hand resting at his side. It is noticeably massive. If you examine the back of that hand and the neck, you will see raised veins and taut tendons. Michelangelo dissected stolen human cadavers in secret to understand the mechanics of the body underneath the skin. He used that illegal knowledge to accurately carve the physical symptoms of a massive spike in adrenaline. The hand captures the exact tension of human physiological stress, functioning as a precise clinical study locked in solid marble. The hands aren't the only thing out of proportion. Viewed straight on, the head is clearly too large for the torso. This 3D topographical map from Stanford University uncovers something even stranger. The figure's eyes diverge on completely different focal paths. He is technically cross-eyed. Michelangelo measured his cuts meticulously. He wouldn't accidentally carve a giant head, oversized hands, and misaligned eyes after 2 years of agonizing labor. The statue was originally commissioned to sit high up on the roofline of the Florence Cathedral. Michelangelo pre-corrected the anatomy, warping the features so that the extreme foreshortening from the street below would make the proportions look perfectly natural. By the time he finished, the city authorities realized the marble was far too heavy to hoist onto a cathedral roof. They placed it at street level instead. 5 centuries of visitors have admired what they perceived as flawless beauty. In reality, they are looking at a brilliant optical illusion, forever stranded at the wrong viewing angle. In 1504, Florence was a small republic trying to survive. They were completely surrounded by hostile neighboring powers, the ousted Medici family, and the heavy military influence of the papacy. That ferocious, coiled stare served a function. When they placed him in the public square, they aimed his gaze westward, straight toward Rome. It acted as a glaring warning to anyone thinking about testing their borders. Getting that 6-ton warning out of the studio required demolishing a stone archway. It took 40 men 3 full days to roll it through the city streets on large wooden logs. During the move, political rivals even threw stones at the statue, attacking the republic it represented. 369 years later, weather damage forced the city to move it indoors. The engineering required was so massive, they had to lay actual train tracks through the streets of Florence to wheel it safely to the museum. This path leads back to the custom-built hall. As you walk down the main corridor, you are forced to pass Michelangelo's unfinished figures, men seemingly struggling to free themselves from solid rock before the final reveal at the end. The next time you find yourself looking down this hall, focus on the clinical anatomy in the veins, the optical corrections in the eyes, and the political hostility radiating from the face. Recognizing these anatomical and political layers reveals a defiant historical document, providing a map of the artist's calculated intent.